entitled Mother and My Wedding. This story is about an incident that happened over 8 years ago, involving my sister-in-law's mother during my wedding. My sister-in-law recently brought this up during a family Zoom call, and one of my nieces immediately asked me to write it up here. It's taken me a few days to get it all typed, and it turned into quite a long story. I tried to cut some parts out, but here it is in full. The cast includes me, Alice, sister-in-law, Helen, Alice's mother, our entitled mother, Ron, Alice's husband and my brother, and Fred and George, two of my other brothers. The wedding was set to happen on a farm run by my Aunt Rose. This farm is designed for weddings and events, complete with a hefty rental price. As a gift to Ron and Alice, Aunt Rose donated the venue and the on-site lodge for all the guests. Her children volunteered their time to clean and set up the venue, and her husband offered his cooking skills. Other family members provided the ingredients, so there wasn't much for the bride and groom to pay for. Alice, her sister, and two of our cousins made the wedding dress. The most expensive items the couple bought were the rings. Most people would be thrilled to spend so little on a wedding, but Helen, the mother of the bride, was a problem from the start. She insisted on having a say in everything, but no one listened because it was Alice's day, not hers. Helen got progressively angrier as the family followed Alice's choices instead of her own. Alice designed everything, including the wedding cake. Because of her allergies, she didn't want any coconut on her cake. She planned a beautiful naked cake decorated with berries, with a nature-inspired look. The family adored Alice, and we all ignored Helen's terrible demands without needing to say a word. Alice ordered sunflowers and a variety of orange and yellow roses and other flowers. They arrived before the rehearsal dinner and were stored in the walk-in fridge to keep them fresh for the next day. Helen got very emotional when she saw the flowers that night. Fred sensed something was wrong when Helen disappeared just before the rehearsal started. He didn't catch her in time, but she had gone into the kitchen and snapped the heads off the sunflowers because she didn't want them in her daughter's wedding photos. To avoid stressing out the bride and groom, Fred texted the family member who supplied the flowers. He explained that he left the rehearsal about 6 minutes after Helen and found the sunflowers beheaded. The family member agreed to replace them and come over extra early before the wedding with the needed flowers. They also suggested saving the sunflower heads to use as table decorations for the reception. Crisis 1 averted. Meanwhile, I was dealing with another crisis. Helen was on the phone, and like Fred, I had a bad feeling. I overheard her talking to her husband, Alice's stepfather, about surprising Alice by having him walk her down the aisle instead of her father. This man had abused Alice so badly that she ran away and was rescued by a stranger. I told Helen that if he showed up, he would be leaving with more holes than God intended. She dismissed my threat until she saw the look in my eyes. She told her husband she'd call him back and hung up. She argued that it was thanks to him that Alice met her future husband, so he should walk her down the aisle. I was furious. George, sensing the brewing trouble, approached Helen with a fruity drink and acted sympathetic to her woes. He kept her glass full, and she eventually admitted that she had fixed the cake in the fridge by spreading coconut frosting over the base layer, despite Alice's severe allergy. George texted the family to check the cake immediately and kept Helen occupied and increasingly drunk. All the food was inspected by the family, and Aunt Rose, her husband, and their kids worked with the siblings to fix everything. The cake was remade because the coconut frosting ruined it. Family members were woken up while the bride, groom, and wedding party slept. George kept an eye on Helen and made sure her husband was sent somewhere far from the wedding venue. The family came together, with 12 cars leaving the ranch to gather replacements for everything. There was a berry hunt at 4 in the morning. New fish and bread were procured. Steaks were tenderized and marinated, and fresh eggs and sweet potatoes were gathered. Cars came and went all night. I told Alice her mother was sleeping off a hangover while she got dressed for the day, and she accepted it quickly. She had been pressured by some family to invite her mother. As she got ready, she expressed her disbelief that her wedding day was finally here and tried not to cry before her makeup was done. Helen missed the wedding despite her sister and other daughter trying to wake her up. Alice remained in the dark about the events until she returned from her honeymoon. Helen herself revealed what she had done, screaming at Alice on her first day back and expressing disappointment for missing the wedding. She demanded Alice dress in her wedding gown again for photographs with her and her stepfather, but Ron put a stop to that quickly. Helen was blocked, and Alice tried to piece together what had happened. The family came forward with their stories, and Alice thanked us all. Ron expressed disbelief at how calm we had been. Aunt Rose shared her wisdom. In a crisis, you can't lose focus. Make a plan, follow through, and things will work out. Alice took that advice to heart. She's now a wedding planner and a fierce advocate for brides, ensuring their day is about them and their spouse, not anyone else. Hope you all enjoyed the story.